Again, yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. We've got some updates from Jake today, product and education, and also marketplace and dev updates. We'll have a little poll as well, just how far into your onboarding journey you are. Just 4 answers there. Simple click of the button. Then we've got a couple of customer demos, like I mentioned, Hugh from Computer Culture, Hugh Burns, and that's an LED alerting system, which is awesome. Then we've got Tim Hunt from Colton Computers again. He's a twice offender at these open mics, so really thank you for putting your hand up. And I guess on that note, anybody else who has something that they want to show off, anything cool, anything at all, do let us know, and we'll put you on the list to share next time. And from Tim Hunt, we'll have track change management for changes to devices while utilizing the changelog within IT Portal. And then we will do just one demo today for custom org variables on forms. The other demo we were going to do, the person who is demoing that is unfortunately unwell today, but we will roll it into next time, and that's just one of our new crates. And I guess, again, on that note, if you want to see anything on these open mics, if you're, have a burning question or want to go through something that, you've seen recently, let us know. There's a survey you can fill out as well, or you can just message me, your CSM, and I will put that on the agenda for us to go through. So I will now pass over to Jake for some Rewsty updates. Go for it.
So let me quickly present my screen. Okay, yep, filling Teams, present. Okay. There we go. Okay, perfect. So let's go to here. All right, so everyone can see my screen? Perfect.
Affirmative.
Cool. So welcome everyone to the open mic for ANZ. It's good to have you all here. So I guess we can first start off with the product update. So there are quite a few things that have happened over the past sort of few months, and there will also be a major announcement that will be announced today, as well as some demonstrations of this major announcement, which is a pretty cool thing. So first of all, we've got new widgets at the bottom of the dashboard that counts your tasks and shows your time savings. This gives you additional detail metrics into how you're using Roost and where the value is that you're getting, and I'll demonstrate this soon. We've also added form option filters, which is a new piece of functionality that makes filtering options in your forms a lot more simple. It's now more of a UI sort of based filtering system, and again, I'll show this off in the demonstration. We've also added open text and secure cloud as an integration, and also a flex point integration. But for the major announcement, we actually developed RoboRewsty. So this is coming in quarter 3, quarter 4. This was demonstrated at Flow, and we do have some demonstration videos. But essentially, it's going to be an AI assistant which can help you build workflows, and it's actually really cool. So I'm very excited to show you the demonstration. What I'll do now, I'll show off those other little things first. Let me just share my screen here. Cool. Okay, cool. So under the dashboard here, your main dashboard, if you scroll to the bottom now, what you'll see is additional information. So now we can see all your workflow executions. We can see the success rate of these executions and how many times they've also been executed. And you can also have here now your time saved in seconds, minutes, and hours. Now, this can all be exported to a CSV, so you can get some nice metrics. You can then use that to build out reports and graphs, and you can track this sort of stuff now from the dashboard itself. For the next piece here, I'll show you the new filtering options. So this one here, this has no filtering options, right? So we can see here, we have placeholder 1, 2, 3 as our options for this field. And in this tab here, what I've got going is I've added a rule to filter for only placeholder number 2. So in the preview, if I go to this section here, now we're only filtering for that one text field rather than showing all 3 different things, right? So it can be very useful for certain different things, but that is now how we can, well, that's a new feature now in our platform, right? I've also got this demonstration here. So we did create a little workflow based on these 3 locations. So it's a real life sort of demonstration. So in this field label here, we can see, I'll just exit this. We have 3 different options here: New York, London, and Berlin. If I add a rule, if the ID equals Berlin, and I hit apply filter. Now this was working before. Hopefully the demo gods are on my side. But what we should see now is Berlin. And there isn't an option here now, so something's gone wrong between the time that I did this and the time of demonstration. But in a real scenario, it'll filter then for Berlin. Cool. So moving along to the workflows area, what you will notice here is now we have a new UI with advanced filtering. And the reason why this is good is now we can actually filter for specific types of objects, right? So for instance, right now we're filtering for the source crate and we're excluding all the sub workflows. So we've had a lot of feedback around how, there's a lot of sub workflows that just get presented in this sort of screen here, and it can be a bit convoluted. Now we can actually exclude things like sub workflows and include only the crates. And this is only showing my crates that I have unpacked in my environment. So it's quite useful for filtering it down and narrowing it down to sort of what you want to see, right? In this next demonstration here, this is in the actual results section. We also have now time or date range filtering. So this is from the last 30 days. We can filter executions based on dates. So if you want to see executions run on a certain date range, date time, now you can also do this as well, right? So we're making it easier for clients to sort of narrow things down and sort of find things they want to find at certain date ranges. So it is quite a nice little feature there. In the next sort of section here, I'll discuss the new crate marketplace. So you can see here there's a new flavor to the UI. It's sort of much more navigatable now in a sense. What you'll notice is there is all crates now. You have my crates, which is the crates that are unpacked in your environment, as well as the new crates that we've actually released recently, so sort of in the last 30 days, right? And the good thing now is we also have filters here, right? So now we're filtering by categorization rather than tags. So for instance, if I click security, these are all the categorized crates for security, right? So that's quite a useful thing if you want to filter only for a specific category. And another feature here is you can filter for integrations, right? So let's, for instance, say we're using Halo as our PSA. If I select Halo PSA as the integration, we can see all the crates that relate to the Halo integration, right? So you can narrow things down in a much more concise way. You can also sort, right, by alphabetical, most popular, or recently added. And the good thing now is as well is with the search, it's searching not only for the body, but now the title. So it searches both ways now. So if you put in a sort of word like RMM, it'll search for not only the description, but also if RMM's in the title, and it'll present those crates via what you say in here. Cool. And the last thing I'll quickly show off is just RoboRewsty, just sort of the change description. So what we can see here, I have a workflow. I added some things to the workflow. We can see the sort of things that are added in green, right? Now, if I click this button here, RoboRewsty will generate a very nicely formatted description of what's changed in the workflow, right? So that you don't need to actually go in and document these changes yourself. So what we can see here, I've added some tasks. It's explaining exactly what it's doing, right? Workflow changes, task sequences, and also the overall impact, right? We can also see original and modified changes. Now, because I just imported these workflows in, there are no original changes, but these are the modified changes that were applied to this workflow. And as you can see down here, we can see a nice little description as well of what has been presented in the changes. Once you hit submit, now we have a documented record of those changes. Cool. So, let me refresh this page. Now for the exciting part, to show off the RoboRewsty. So let me just present this again in Teams, and we'll get to the juicy part of this meeting. Cool. All right, so let me just go to this slide here. Okay, so RoboRewsty, what is it? So there are sort of 4 categories here. Workflow documentation. So as you just saw, RoboRewsty can actually take your workflow that has been completed. It can document all the changes, and it has sort of nice colorizations, and it's sort of end-to-end so that your engineers or your users don't need to actually write in random notes. It's nice and verbose, so that's a good thing there. You can also now build or update workflows via prompting. So this can be done from a fresh workflow or an existing workflow, right? RoboRewsty runs off an MCP server. This server is the way for RoboRewsty to actually talk to the Roost database and get information that's relevant to you. This allows RoboRewsty to run within the context of the user who's querying RoboRewsty. So this is, I guess, with security in mind. It doesn't have admin access to everything within your org. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's available in a trigger format. So if you're talking about RoboRewsty in the UI, you can ask it questions and get it to run workflows. Anything that has the MCP trigger will actually allow you to do things like run other AIs in tandem with RoboRewsty. And the thought behind this is, again, so you can run different models as well as RoboRewsty at the same time, right? Now, we are looking for beta testers around August, September, and we are looking to roll this out in sort of Q3 with the documentation side of thing, and then Q4 for the actual workflow building sort of system, right? So let's actually look at some demonstrations. So this was presented at Flow. So what you can see here, you can actually auto-generate documentation, right? So it's a bit more of an advanced functionality of what I just showed you, but what you can see here is it presents it nicely. It's sort of color-coded. It gives very verbose details on what's been changed. So again, good for your documenting process, good for order.
Jake, you've just muted yourself, mate.
I think someone muted me. How's it go? Yes, so this is, I guess, part one, right? This is the documentation feature, which will be coming, I guess, in Q3, so very soon, September. So that's, I guess, part one. Now we'll go to video number 2. So here we are. We can sort of, we have a user here interacting with the chatbot with the context of this workflow. It's asking it questions, right? So it's asking to build a sort of trigger, right? It's searching the documentation. It's now also creating some triggers. And again, all sort of autonomous, all done via prompting, right? So it's a very nice feature that's coming into the platform. Yep, and there's also cited all the sources as well. So you can actually just go directly to the documentation as well, if you would like to, right? The next video we'll have here is, I guess, the test. So we can see that the workflow has failed, right? So we also have RoboRewsty in the execution history. So you can actually analyze the failure and get a return on maybe where we went wrong or how to fix it, right? So it's just adding that next level of support as well with using, AI in the context from our documentation, right? And also from Ginger. There you go. So there's the error, right? So that's pretty nice. And now for, I guess, what everyone's probably been waiting for. This is where we've prompted RoboRewsty to actually create a workflow on our behalf, right? So what it's going to do is going to analyze our prompt. It's going to go out. It's going to actually give us a template, right, where we can actually we can review it. We can then approve the template, and then the workflow will then be built out for us. Really a brilliant feature, right? I'm very excited for this to come, and I'm sure a lot of you are also pretty excited to see that this is coming into the platform. So we'll see it now going off on its thing and building the workflow all autonomously. And there we go. So just like that, with a prompt, we were able to generate a workflow sort of end to end. And as you can see here, it puts in the code as well, right? So it has the ability to code into your workflows. And it can also describe, what that code is actually doing. So really cool feature. And again, this will be coming Q4. And I believe that's it. So that's RoboRewsty. Again, I'm really excited that this is coming, and I'm sure everyone here can see the sort of potential of this. So yeah, that is RoboRewsty. Cool. So now for, I guess, the marketplace update. So we have created some new crates. One of the main ones being the ConnectWise Pod Technician Toolbox. There's now a V2. So we refactored this crate, given it an uplift. We also have Cork, Open Text, and Nodeware. And these are for file or threat events, file detections. And then you can send these events to your PSA. And we've also developed a Windows patch deployer crate, which is going to automate your sort of patch management and patch deployment to your endpoints. It runs through, it uses PowerShell to execute against the endpoints. And it's a really nice sort of crate to be utilizing. It works as a form. So you just need to fill out the form, the automation triggers, and your Windows servers can then be patched. Cool. Now for education. So we have made a few different changes. We can now check your progression in My Learning. So you can click your course title to resume, and then on the left, navigate for your lessons completion. So this sort of tracks where you're at in your lesson sort of trajectory. And you can sort of just go into this, into the resources there, and you can find out sort of how far you're progressing in your courses, right? And then there is one more slide for this. There is also some deprecated courses. We deprecated 7 micro courses, and we've actually revised it and created a few new courses, right? So process engineering, create documentation, getting started with completion handlers, updating documentation, option generators, and also improved docs. So that is an update on marketplace, education, and products. Now I will hand it over to.
Next on the
We'll hand it over
agenda,
to Sarah.
me actually. Next on the agenda is Hugh. So I'm going to hand it straight over to Hugh. Computer culture, we've got our LED alerting system, and we've also got a poll that's just popped up for you. So I'm going to let everyone answer that, and yeah, give Hugh a minute to start sharing his screen when he is ready. Excited to see this one. I've already seen it once, but excited to see it again. Go for it, Hugh, when you are ready. Maybe Hugh has frozen there. He's not moving very much.
I think he's
He
just
looks
doing
very
a really
still.
good job of staying very still.
Maybe. Nope, didn't crack a smile. So, and he's popped off. Maybe he's going to rejoin.
Jump out.
Coming across the seas from New Zealand. So that's probably why. We think we've got bad internet here. Gosh. And he's back again. Oh, there you are, Hugh. Welcome back.
Apologies for that. I just
good.
as you handed over, my connection died on me. So
Of course.
yeah, always the way.
Not a problem. Yeah.
Right, over to me now, is it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hi everyone. I'm just going to show off something a bit fun and a bit of sort of outside the box that we've done in our office recently. So I'll just start by sharing my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that, what's on screen there at the moment.
Yes, we can.
Cool. All right. So what we've done is we wanted a way of sort of having something physical or tangible in our office for when things happen and systems go down, so that we're aware of it. So as you can see here, we've basically put some LEDs across the ceiling of our office here, and the purpose of those is to show us the number of active alerts. So the more things that go wrong, the more lights light up across our ceiling. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun. It brings it to the physical world, and we've used Rewst to sort of connect that up. So I will go through and show you how we've actually made that work. It's going to work for me. Here we go. So this is just a sort of rough diagram of all the bits and pieces that make it work. We've got an LED strip here. We're using a little microprocessor with ESP home firmware and a home automation platform called Home Assistant. Some of you may be familiar with that. It's something I play with at home in my personal life, so it's a bit of fun to bring that into the office and let it do some real things in the real world. And then we have a custom integration with Home Assistant that I've put into Rewst, and then Rewst is receiving signals from nCentral via our PSA, which is ConnectWise. So that's sort of the high-level plumbing. In terms of the way that actually works, I'll go into a bit of detail just to show you behind the scenes how Home Assistant works. I won't dwell on it unless anyone's got questions, but this is a representation of the lights on our ceiling in Home Assistant. It's a multifunction light. You can choose your color and you can set particular effects and those sorts of things. And there's also some numbers here which determine the number of failed tickets, ones that haven't been triaged and ones that have been triaged. You can see here at the moment this is 3, so I'm not in the office at the moment, but there should be 3 sets of lights lit up at the moment to say I've got 3 critical tickets in progress that have currently been triaged, and so they should be lit up on the ceiling. And this number here is just a configuration setting that allows us to determine how many little LED segments light up per ticket. But the way that works is, again, I'll just skim through this nice and quick, but basically this is how you write the firmware for the little microprocessor that connects to the lights. We define some numbers here, one for failed tickets and then tickets in progress. We define a light platform here, and then the key thing here is there's a couple of different effects. One here is called graph, and then there's one here called standby. So you'll see these later, but this graph is a custom bit of code that basically loops through the number of active tickets and then lights up those number of LEDs on the strip on the ceiling. And that's called graph, and that's available. If we click on the light, you'll see we can set an effective graph, and I'll go through what that looks like shortly. But the other option is standby. So if there's no active alerts, how do we know the system's working? We just have a little animation that runs backwards and forwards along the LED strip, and so the standby effect just has a little animation so we know that, hey, it's actually working. So how do we connect this into Rewst? We built a custom integration. So Home Assistant has a REST API, nice and easy to work with. So just built a custom integration here with a few set methods or actions. So for example, I've defined one here that says turn on light, and that basically hits the light/turn on endpoint. In the JSON body, we can tell it which effect to apply. So in this case, we tell it to apply the graph effect, and the graph is just the number of LEDs on the ceiling. And then we tell it which light ID, like you could have multiple lights, so we just tell it which light is the one that's we want to turn on, and its brightness. And then we just have another function here to turn the light off, and then set the number. So the number is important because that determines how many tickets light up on the ceiling. And for that, we just pass through the value of the number of lights. So that brings us through to the workflow. The workflow itself is quite simple, but Rewst allows us to tie all these different things in together. So we're going from ConnectWise. When we have a ticket from nCentral that comes through that's critical, it'll set a ticket in ConnectWise of a certain status. And so we look at that. So there's a trigger in ConnectWise. And then Rewst will reach back out to ConnectWise and say, show me the number of tickets that are in a failed state, show me a number of critical tickets that are in progress, and then those two numbers are set using the Home Assistant API. So the number of in progress tickets and the number of critical tickets. In progress are yellow, critical are red. And we then check to see if we need to turn the lights on. If we do, we turn the light on. tell it how bright, which effect to apply, and then we finish. So basically in real time, if a ticket comes in for something critical, one of the segments on the LED will light up. If a whole lot of them light up, that's when we start to panic, or we come in the morning and the whole strips light up all the way to the end of the office. We go, uh-oh, what's going on here? But it's quite fun and satisfying that when you then close a ticket in real time, you see the strip get smaller and smaller as it goes along the office ceiling. So that's the bit of fun we had. And I guess that's the end of the demo. So happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions.
We did get a comment in the chat from Josh Lowe. It's a good indicator of how much coffee he should make before going to the desk in the morning. So
yeah, that's my colleague Josh. He comes in, looks at the lights, and goes, right, go make some coffee.
throw my laptop out the window. I'm going home. One or the other, right? Yeah, that was awesome. I really like that that idea. Very exciting, and yeah, very creative use of Roost.
We'll probably expand it at some stage. We'll look at the sales team and how many sales they've made, and they like to show off if they close some deals, so we can light up some lights, or
what better way?
Could go to any part of the team. So it's just having something fun and tangible, and Roost allows us to tie that together. So
yeah, and it's not like an offensive flashing light or anything. It's it's reserved, it's demure, it's a nice visual to have in your office. So yeah, thank you.
Well, we used to have a few flashing lights, but we had to move on. So
please no. It'd be too much for me. Cool. All right, so we are going to do another demo now, another customer of ours. Let's go, Tim, for truck change management, for utilising the change log in IT portal. That's the one.
I don't know if I can follow that though. Mine thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Fun, boring change management stuff that everyone hates to do but has to do. Let me just do the sharing.
I love your background, by the way. Just you're the dog in the middle, are you?
It was perfect after this week with Screen Connect. Fun. Everyone's been dealing with that.
What a good time.
Anyway, so yeah, basically we had no proper way of doing change management for all our clients' devices, firewall switches, servers, all that sort of fun stuff. Came out of one of our clients wanted to track them all through an Excel sheet that they was in their tenancy. We're just like, no, that is stupid. There's another way to do this. So we decided to do it through Roost. So basically just built this simple form that where you fill out the organisation, put a ticket number in, you select the device from IT Portal, it pulls directly from there for that client. You fill out the deep standard change management questions. Quickly fill this out. And then hit submit. Goes and does its thing. See if this is updated. So I've got it, so it'll put the request on the ticket as well. So I'll log on the ticket, and then if you come to the device, I can refresh. So in IT Portal here, we've got notes, and we can see that we've got changes here of all the ones that we've created over the time. And then you can see, then it will track changes within IT Portal, so you can see what last changed, what the changes were made, and the ticket numbers and all that sort of stuff. And for the workflow itself, it's fairly simple. Just gets a list of the notes that are on that device, because we basically override the existing one if there's one already there. So it's where it checks if there's one there or not, creates it or updates it. And then I've got a split here because with ConnectWise, you can't pull, the ConnectWise API can't pull project tickets and service tickets the same. So I've split it off because projects need to be able to fill this out whenever they're doing installs and updates and all that sort of stuff. Very basic and simple.
And highly useful. we need these processes in the world. I'm a very process queen. I'm all about a good process, and give me all the red tape. I'll be controversial and say that I like the red tape. Okay,
Go through ISO from scratch and have fun.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. I think if I was to choose a CSF, it would probably be E8. ISO's 2 in everyone's business. So is SOC. I think E8's a nice gentle framework rather than a hard and fast regulation. Cool. All right. So thank you for that one. We will now move over to Michael. Michael, go for it. I think you're doing custom
Thanks,
org
Guy.
variables on forms.
Yeah, so more of a
Yep.
forms tips and tricks is what it turned into, because I started looking at everything we could do and thought you guys might like to see that. So let me share my screen.
Michael is a silent assassin in the support team. So if you bother someone on Discord, it will likely be either Ray, who's on a cruise, like we mentioned, or Michael responding there.
Perfect. And can everyone see my screen there? It doesn't look too big. I've got an ultra wide, so always sharing my screen is a bit of a gamble.
Looks all good to me, mate.
Okay, perfect. So with our text/markdown field, there's a number of different effects that we can apply. So I'm just going to run through some examples of these. So we can use our hashtags here to do the equivalent of setting a heading in HTML. So 1 hash is H1, 2 hashes H2, and so on and so forth. So then we get all of our different headings here. We can add horizontal lines with 3 dashes. So if you want to break up your text, you can chuck a bunch of these in. You can add links. So it's just a square bracket with your link text, and then a normal bracket with the link to whatever you want to link to. You can do bold, italics, strike through, and so bold's 2 stars, italics 1 star, and strike through is 2 squiggly lines on either side. You can also use emojis in forms if you so desire, and all you do there is just a colon, the name of your emoji, and colon, and you'll see that pops in there. We could also indent, so you can see here with 1 greater than sign, you can get 1 indent, and you can stack those on top of each other if you want to. Okay. And we can also do checkboxes. So that's just a square bracket there. You can't actually check these on the form, so probably not super useful, but just thought I'd show you in case someone's got a niche situation they want to use that. We can have our ordered and unordered lists, and you can indent those as well, so you can stack them out like this. And that's just with a dash, so it's pretty straightforward. And our ordered list is just, as you'd expect, numbers there. It's not really a list anyway, because it would just display normally in plain text, but yeah. And we also have code blocks. So if you want to show some ginger on your form, but you don't actually want it to render or do anything, we can just use a backtick there, like you can see here, and then it'll output it in these little black text box. And you can do a full block of this just with 3 backticks, like you can see here, and then we can output that. So if you've got something that you want your technicians to run, so say you've got some PowerShell code, you can put it in there, and then they can copy and paste that directly. We also have info boxes. So what we do here is we put 3 colons and then a warning, and then it'll pop up in a little orange box or red box like this. You can nest these if you like to, just in case you want to get fancy. But yeah, so that's the main markup options that we have. So you can really customize your forms. Oh, and I forgot to mention we can add images as well. So this is similar to our link. So the format here is exclamation point, and then some square brackets with our alternate text. So if I put an image example here, that'll pop up below the image, just in case you have a user that can't render that, they're going to know what it is. And then we just put our PNG link here, like that, and then it'll pop up on the form. So the next part I wanted to go through was just showcasing how we can use context and org variables in our forms. So for org variables, it's exactly how you would do it in a workflow. So we just use org.variables.variable name. In our preview, it's going to show like this, and I'll show you an example of this shortly. But then we could also use our context variables. So the context here is from our other forms. So the example I've gone through here is just to confirm the details before submitting. So we can output the username that they've selected in the username box, the extra details, and if they've checked the Microsoft license box. And then it will just output that into a text format. So you can verify that everything's correct before you submit your form. I'll go into that now. And I'll show you this, the copy button is there for the code block there. So you can see here that where I had my org variable, it's now displaying the text that's in that org variable. And down here where I had the context variables, it's displaying my username there, the extra details field, and then the license box. Last thing I'm just going to quickly go over is our link queries. So for those of you that aren't aware, we can actually fill out information in our URL to pre-fill. So for example, if you wanted to pre-fill an organization, because you're sending the link to a user at that organization, we can go up the top here and we can do a question mark. And then we can do, in this example, I'll use username, but we can do our username is equal to test user. And then if I run that and scroll down, it's going to automatically fill out my test user there. Something really cool that one of my colleagues mentioned to me as well is if you're using a PSA and you're sending out a link from a PSA ticket, you can use the PSA pre-filled org, the pre-filled variables in the PSA itself. So for Halo, which is what we use, you can pre-fill the customer name as well as other information. So then depending on which customer you're sending it from, it'll fill that detail out and autofill your form for you. And if we have multiple values like I've listed here, we can just do an AND symbol and then set the new value like that. Yeah, so there's some pretty cool things you can do with forms to help make your experience a little smoother. And end of presentation.
You're a weapon, Michael. An absolute weapon. Lucky to have you. All right, guys. That is the end of today's session. Are there any questions or anyone want to get anything off your chest? We're all ears. We're in a safe space here. Or you can just hold it on to yourself, and we can talk about it the next time that we meet. I'm all ears. Everyone feeling okay? All right, all good. Thanks for the thumbs up for everyone. I'm going to put in the feedback form in the chat if anyone does want to fill that out. If they want to see anything, like I mentioned earlier in the call, just shout out, and yeah, we can make it happen. But apart from that, thanks for jumping on, and go be free on your Friday afternoon. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Catch you
All
later.
right, guys. See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Meow.
Cheers.
Meow.
Meow.